The only crime that I have committed is to fearlessly defend our nation from those who seek to destroy it.
And that was former President Trump speaking out back in Mar-a-Lago in Florida after being arraigned on 34 felony counts of falsifying financial records. Trump pleading not guilty to every count and blasting the Manhattan DA as a Soros-backed prosecutor who blatantly campaigned on getting President Trump. Well, what impact might this have on the 2024 election? Let's bring in acting former U.S. Attorney General Matthew Whitaker, along also with our great special guest, GOP strategist John Burnett. He is going to be with us for the next 2 hours. You know, John, I first want to get your reaction, if I could, to the indictment. What are your thoughts?
Well, we all know that it's bogus, and, you know, we were waiting for Alvin Bragg to lay out his case, but you know who else is going to lay out his case? Donald Trump, and I can't wait.
Yeah, we all can't wait, and he is already starting to lay it out. Matt, is it all politically motivated? And you can see Donald Trump is coming out swinging. How does that impact the case, Matt?
Yeah. No, you would fully expect. It's good to be with you this morning, and happy Easter, Rita and John. I know this case is political because I'll tell you why. There's been so many people over the last 7 years when allegedly this conduct occurred, and, you know, that have been trying to get Trump, and they've looked and they've churned and they've grinded on all this evidence, and nobody could put it together. And somehow magically Alvin Bragg found the key to unlock this case. But if you read the indictment, you know that it's a complete fiction, that this idea that you can somehow take these misdemeanor charges that are arguably even happened based on the evidence that we know, and then turn them into a felony, suspend the statute of limitations, jump over all these hoops, and somehow, you know, suggest that Donald Trump's going to spend the rest of his life in prison, I think it's just a fantastical tale. But again, this satisfies the left. They were so happy and celebrating this, no matter all of the challenges, no matter all of the holes in this case, because again, they have been trying to get Trump ever since he came down the escalator and ultimately won the presidency in 2016. So, you know, I think this case is going to be dismissed ultimately, probably by the end of this year, because it is so flimsy and it's not a legitimate case.
You know, John Burnett, does it satisfy justice?
No, absolutely not. It's a complete waste of time, resources, and money. But, you know, I'd like to ask Mr. Whitaker, the thing is that how can you actually file a case like this without citing the law that was broken?
Yeah, it's a great case, ultimately because indictments are notices. They don't lay out the entire theory of the case. They just are supposed to be specific enough so that the defendant is on notice of what the charge is against him. But you point out the fatal flaw of this case, and that is that there's got to be this enhancement. To make it a felony, there has to be an additional crime in connection with these underlying document charges. And it's nowhere to be found. There's some suggestion, Alvin Bragg really at this press conference couldn't even answer this question. There's some suggestion it may be taxes, although based on how these transactions were categorized, John, Donald Trump paid more in taxes than if they had been properly categorized, theoretically. And then the election law case is a complete flimsy basis for the enhancement. The feds looked at this, including when I was acting Attorney General. The case just isn't there. And there's no New York State election violation because New York law doesn't regulate presidential elections. So the case is going to fail. And the question of it's a matter of when, not if.
Well, that's the other question too, Matt, because we've even heard from Alan Dershowitz, who basically says if it goes to a Manhattan grand jury, he believes that Trump would be convicted. And then he would have to appeal that. He would probably win on an appeal. Do you believe that it could even go to that step?
Yeah, there's a lot of legal maneuvering between now and then. We're going to have some motions filed, including a motion to dismiss. Some of those may be able to be appealed before a trial ever happens and an appeal court may ultimately get it. Again, I think it's going to boil down to this enhancement, because if these are just misdemeanor charges, we're way beyond the statute of limitations. If somehow we're in the felony range, arguably they are still live with the 5-year statute of limitation, although some of them appear to be outside the boundary of that 5 years. But the election theory of the case is going to be, may open up the federal courts to appeal, because it's an interpretation of federal law, and therefore there may be an ability to appeal those to a federal court. And once you get federal court, I mean, everybody knows if this was a fair process, Rita, to your point, everybody knows this case wouldn't be brought. It is only because you have a left-wing prosecutor, you have a jury pool that is most likely left-leaning and hates Trump, and so you're just not going to get a fair trial. And so I'd like to say to Alvin Bragg, what are you worried about transferring this to a fair trial venue like Staten Island, like upstate New York? Let's get a fair jury pool, because you're never going to win this case if it's a fair jury pool. That's why.
And by the way, obviously, some of the other things could be even a recusal of the judge, a recusal of even Alvin Bragg. What are your thoughts on that, Matt? I mean, could that happen? Because there's some questions about some Democratic donations and Democratic allegiances.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that the bias is so obvious in this case. And if everyone was playing this fair, and the American people see right through this. I know places where I'm from, in Iowa, everybody sees this for what it is. It's complete political weaponization of our justice system, and it's not a fair process. And our country cannot stand. Our founding fathers would not recognize what is happening right now in the United States of America. And the republic is under serious duress. And until we get a system that's fair, that the American people believe in, that we don't have this two-tiered system of justice that the left is using to go after their political opponents, we're going to be in a serious, stressful situation as a country. And we're going to need statesmen and stateswomen to step up and speak out against this weaponization, or it is a zero-sum game, and we are going to be worse off as a country, and we are going to be under serious challenges for a long time to come.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, some other foreign leaders have already come out and said, what is America doing, or how can America criticize us about our human rights and our justice system when they're seeing what's happening now? We heard that even back from the president of El Salvador. Mark, Matt, thank you very, very much. Always great to have you here, Matt Whitaker. You're one of the best. And John, stay with us. I know you're going to be with us for the rest of the show, which we are lucky to have.